And welcome back to another wonderful webinar with Ace by TSK. I'm Mariela Brahimi. We have Anthony DeFonseca with us today from Best Roofing. They have a beautiful setup, a wonderful presentation, so we're excited to get going. I just wanted to say a very big thank you to all of our amazing sponsors who make this series possible, because we've been here every single month since our season started in September. And so thank you guys. That's A1 Appliance Refrigeration and Repair, City Quiet Windows and Doors, K Bender Rumbaum, The Paving Lady, Reserve Advisors, Best Roofing, Plastridge Insurance, The Falcon Group, South State Bank, Vote HOA Now, and Titan Technology. Amazing. Thank you all again. We're going to get started. I just want to remind you guys to use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen for any questions. I believe there will be some questions answered throughout the presentation today. If you will, please also click on the chat button at the bottom of your screen. That is where we're going to be placing the evaluation link for you guys to fill out that evaluation form, which is an important part of getting your credits today. So please go ahead and click on that chat button just so that it's open, so that when I do put that link in the chat, you have it, you see it, you receive it, and you don't miss it. Okay, that will happen about 3/4 of the way through the presentation. We'll put the evaluation link into the chat, but just click on it now, have it open. Excellent. And you'll notice that you guys can't chat to us. You can chat to us as the host, but you won't be able to put anything in there. We're able to chat to you. So please go ahead and utilize the Q&A function for any questions. And I know the team is going to be happy to answer those questions. Last but not least, which I'll mention later, is if you do want access to the slides, when you fill out the evaluation form, upon submission, you're going to get access to an email for the Best Roofing team. That's where you can go ahead and request the slides directly, okay? They're not going to be sent out automatically, so if you do want the slides, please request them directly from the Best Roofing team. Okay, I think that's all. Over to Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you for the warm intro. Once again, my name is Anthony DeFonseca. I'm the General Counsel and Chief Administrative Officer for Best Roofing, and that's a lot of titles for a way of just saying that my job here is to obviously look over the legal parameters of the company, make sure that we're safeguarded as well as our clients. But I also I'm casted with looking out to a long-term strategy and then implementing day-to-day policies and practices to ensure that our daily activities align with what we're trying to do in the future. So today we're just going to be talking about how our culture on a day-to-day basis impacts our future endeavors to meet strategic goals and initiatives. And basically, we're going to be talking about peer-driven organizations, which is how Best Roofing is structured and how we operate. And today we're going to try to talk through this just under an hour. Feel free to pause me at any time and ask me any questions if you have any. So real quickly, just jumping into it, peer-driven organizations, what are they? And it's where organizations are influenced based on accountability. It's really what it comes down to. And it's accountability distributed amongst our peer group and it's our teammates. We're very much a team mentality, and the strength of our company is based on the individual successes and the accountability we have to one another. And the way we do that is having decentralized accountability. It's not just on the top. We spread it throughout the entire organization. It not just impacts morale. Everyone feels that their part of the whole is important, but it is important. We have a motto at Best Roofing that our business model requires teamwork and that we win together, we lose together, but everything we do is together. And that's how we drive our organization forward. It's important in the workplace because you need to be agile and you need to have continuous innovation. If everything is just driven by one person and one person, typically at the leadership CEO level or C-suite level, if that's where the accountability lives and dies, which it should, but that's where innovation lives and dies, which means it's very controlled. It's a small focus group, and then you don't really empower others to go and contribute to the think tank. And then you're going to get low engagement. You're not going to have increased performers. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to retain top talent or attract top talent because they're going to feel that they're not contributing to the success, which is our last point, is shared vision of the future. We're big proponents of three things: hope, vision, and clarity. and that our job as leadership at Best Roofing is to communicate on those three basis points and make sure that every team member from the C-suite to the rooftop are aligned with what our vision of the future is. So what are peer-driven organizations? Typically, people question, what is that driven by? Is it employee-centric? Is it hierarchical-centric? Individual-centric? Managers, boss, family? We'll touch on a little bit of all those as we go forward. Typically, everyone's been in that environment where they've been part of the hierarchical-centric, where you have maybe a president, CEO, or C-suite structure where they make the decisions. It's the I said so model that I'm on top of the pyramid, so I say so. Well, that's not how we do things at Best Roofing. At the top of our food pyramid, so to speak, is the client. So they're at the top of our chart. So everything that we do it through the lens of what's in the best interest of our client. So a couple of things that we want to talk about today here is pros and cons of different structures. Obviously, every model has its pros and cons. But the hierarchical structure is predictable and stable. You know that you're going to have one voice, and you know that they're ultimately going to set the vision and be ultimately accountable. It's efficient, meaning you don't have a group think, so there's no bottlenecks in getting decision making done. There's clear accountability because if you have one choke point, then that's your throat to choke, so to speak. And then typically you can see it in terms of risk mitigation and compliance. From my perspective, there's some areas of the business that do need to have one person in charge, like, for example, contract administration. So in my job, one of the things is I'm the only person that reviews and signs contracts on behalf of the company. And I think you want to have it that way too, because I don't want to have 225 different individual perspectives on how perhaps a contract should be written or revised, because then we could have our risk exposure all over the place. So there's some areas where you do want to have some hierarchical or controls in place, but you don't want to have that throughout the company. Cons, it can be inflexible, slow decision making, low employee morale, right? If one person is making all the decisions and it's always their ideas, what's going to incentivize me to raise my hand and have perhaps an idea in the future to impact or improve the way things are done? So then you're going to have low innovation going forward. At the end of the day, we talked about it. Everything we do is through the lens of the client. So if we have a structure that does not lead to client satisfaction, then that's something that we're not going to be able or we're not going to be inclined to move forward with. Everything is about time and efficiency and what's in the best interest of the client. So time we can get a job started, time we can get a job completed, and the ultimate satisfaction that we did both of those things in a way that the client will come back and I would say recommend Best Roofing to not just future projects for them, but others as well. As we do that, we let everyone realize that we give you permission to think. So when they're on the rooftop or they're throughout the company, we want to have operational efficiency. They want to make sure they have the ability to make decisions on their own within a framework, and then we let them roam within that framework. Family culture. I've been part of a family culture before, not just at Best Roofing, but also I've been part of a family business where my dad's business, and I can tell you there are pros and cons with that as well. And it's where employees are treated like family members, but it emphasizes on strong personal bonds, loyalty, and a sense of belonging. The pros are you have employee loyalty. When you treat a company like family and you have that personal relationship and you have a strong support system and you have that sense of belonging, you're going to run through the walls, so to speak. You're going to go above and beyond for that company because you feel that you're more than just a number or an employee roster. It's usually more casual. Maybe you have that early Friday afternoons, maybe the happy hour in the office. Maybe you have that casual dress code. And those are all the pros that come along with that environment. Maybe you didn't make budget, but you still found room to give out end of year bonuses. The cons are, though, in those environments, you typically have a propensity or an opportunity to have favoritism come into play. So it's not necessarily about what you do, but it's more about who you do it with or who you know. And that becomes an issue because in Best Roofing, we say management or leaders, you're constantly in a fishbowl. So treat yourself like a goldfish. And while you're in that fishbowl, everyone is watching how you move. Everyone's watching how you eat, who you talk to, how you talk to them. Meaning everything you do, whether you realize you're being watched or not, is being evaluated. You may walk into the office and say hi to maybe someone that you're friendly with outside of work, and you immediately go to them every day. But that message speaks volumes to the rest of the team. What about me? What am I not doing right? Even though I just did a great thing yesterday or saved a client thousands of dollars, I'm still not getting that kind of personal one-on-one time or recognition just because I maybe don't hang out with that owner or owner's son after work for happy hour. So that's why you have to be mindful of how that family oriented culture can impact your high performers. And we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. We want to make sure that we are always cognizant of the appearance of clicks. You don't want to always go to lunch with the same folks, people, because it looks like, well, if I ever want to go to my boss about maybe a criticism or feedback I have on one of my peers, I may be reluctant to do so because of the appearance of bias, because they're always on personal terms with that person. They may be more inclined to take their side. So what you do is you would prohibit people or you make them feel isolated to go forward and maybe perhaps even feel like they cannot work with that person because they have a personal relationship. So it's very important to identify potential cliques, identify the individuals who are gossiping more so than participating in a collaborative group effort or a positive groupthink effort, and eliminate that when you see it. It's all about me. It's another group, another type of company that you typically see, and you typically see all about me in sales organizations. And at Best Roofing, yes, we specialize and are known for delivering premier commercial roofing and residential roofing services. But at the end of the day, we're also a professional sales organization, right? Without sales, you have nothing to produce. And in sales organizations, one of the things you have to be mindful of, for example, is the salesman beating their chest at the end of the month. Well, I just sold this. I just sold that. And we have to be able to strike that down and create more team culture mindset. Because in it's all about me cultures or mentality cultures, it emphasizes individual roles and it de emphasizes teamwork because you have clear roles and responsibilities. You know what their performance metrics are, and they focus specifically just on merit based incentive programs where, for example, on sales team, you have 10 jobs you have to sell a month. You can see every month where they're selling, and it directly aligns with maybe that salesman or saleswoman. However, what it does do is it breaks down the teamwork mentality. And at Best Roofing, we are a relationship focused business, and that everything we do with our clients is relationship based. It does not stop at the sale. It goes throughout the sales process, through operations, because that's the most important time when the hand needs to be held, is when we're tearing off your roof and we're making a bunch of noise and a bunch of dust in the air. And there's sometimes things don't go according to plan because it's construction and life, but that's the most important part. So our team and our incentive programs they de-emphasize the individual role and emphasize teamwork. So we have team goals based on north and south, so geographies, and we have it aligned from all the way from business development, estimating, construction, sales. They're all part of a team. So they all work together, they all win together, and they all learn from past experiences that maybe didn't work out together. The one thing I can tell you is this is extremely important to me because whether you played on sports before or sports teams, and maybe the folks that get all the credit are the ones that maybe score the goals or hit the home runs or get the perfect shutout in baseball. But it's the team that allowed you to complete that, right? Maybe in baseball, someone may get a perfect shutout, a no hit game. But what about the teammates who made the diving catches to catch the ball to make sure that that perfect game was intact? Or what about the catcher who was choosing or suggesting what pitches to throw or strategies where you wanted to throw to certain batters? It's a team effort and everyone contributes to that success. Just like whether it's soccer and maybe the strikers in front are the ones that always get the goals. But what about the build-up, the defense that was able to protect goals from coming in and able to elevate the game and progress the ball down the field and move it to the strikers who allowed them to score. So we are very much big on it's a teamwork mentality. And at Best Roofing, we say, look, it all begins and ends with operations, right? So if operations doesn't do a good job, we're not going to get a lead or referral. So it's very important that our operations team can meet and exceed expectations of the clients to begin with. Then it works with our business development team. Our business development team is out there. They're making relationships, maintaining relationships, making new relationships, and beating the drum of Best Roofing, saying this is what we do. They allow that lead flow to come into Best Roofing, and then our sales team is able to take the efforts of our business development team and translate it into a relationship and maybe generate a proposal where we can assist. And then from that point in, our estimating team is working on providing the most cost-effective or value-engineered tailor system for that specific project. And then we're able to pass it off if we're able to enter into a contract to our dedicated project management and operations team, who we're able to actually go on the roof, identify the best way to minimally disrupt your community or building, and get a cost-efficient and time-sensitive project delivered on time and on budget. But if everyone doesn't play their part of that system, then ultimately the client suffers, and then it suffers our business. So it's very important that we eliminate the opportunity for incentive programs or individual roles that just focus on the credibility or the achievements of one person, because it's all about the team. There's no I in team. We talk about team culture all the time. We're very, very cognizant of it. We're constantly working in group think. We're constantly working in regions. We want to get the perspectives of operations, sales, business development, leadership in a room when we have issues to make sure we get the perspective, because nothing is just two-dimensional. It's three-dimensional, and you must get all different sides of the coin to get the best outcome for the client. And at the end of the day, when you don't do that, it suffers our employee morale. We can't attract and retain top talent. We can't do value engineered systems. I can tell you that here at Best Roofing, there are a lot of times where we can have, just like last week, we had an estimator who wasn't even working on a job, overheard a deal review, and because of past experiences in different focuses of work, they were able to value engineer a system for a client that saved them six figures on just what type of system we installed. And was able to meet the client's needs for that specific project. Everyone walked away happy. Client was ecstatic on the outcome, but it's the way of allowing the person to feel that they could step up and say, wait a minute, I know I'm not working on this job, but I overheard you, and this is something that I think could work. If you don't have a culture that allows that to happen, or recognizes individuals to think outside the box, then you're going to ultimately suffer, the clients will suffer, and people will not feel that they're empowered to do that. We always talk about team over the individual. A strong team culture allows us to attract and retain some colleagues who are empowered. At the end of the day, everything's about your culture. If you don't have a winning culture in your organization, your clients will be the first one to tell you, because they won't come back to do work. One thing that we are very cognizant of is happy employees create happy clients, and happy clients create more work. So we are always doing things to bring our teammates together. We spend so much time in the organization with one another, and we go through ups and downs of different projects or different things that come into our four walls of our building. But it's important that we understand that we're an extension of each other's families. So we constantly have what we call team mentality or family-driven events at Best Roofing. We do them quarterly, try to have a quarterly event that we host either on-site or off-site for our team. We have 225 employees at Best Roofing. It's very difficult to get everyone together at the same time. But what we do is we make a point to do it, because it's important that everyone knows, as you can see here in this picture, this is what it's all about. We're here to work because we love servicing our clients. We love doing it together for our peers, but we're doing it to provide for our families. And when we all make the sacrifices to come into work every day, it's important for our peers to see who we're doing it for, our why. And that's a great glimpse of our why at Best Roofing. We're doing it for our families, to provide for a better way of life. But we all live in the community that we serve, and we're just looking to make the best community for that. And as we go forward, this is a little bit insight into what we do at Best Roofing. Everything is peer accountability and feedback. We have a term that we called a trust bank. And we talk about trust deposits. When we want to give constructive criticism or feedback to a peer, the one thing that we remind our employees is, have you deposited trust into that account before you pulled out something? I mean, because when you take a withdrawal, that means you're giving constructive feedback. And here's an example. I can't go to Jan, for example, who's working behind the scenes here, and give him constructive feedback when I've never given him positive feedback before. Because all he's going to say is, wow, look at this guy, Anthony. He only comes to me when he wants to give negative feedback. He never compliments me on running all of our social media, all of our marketing campaigns, all of our digital. But when it comes down to criticism, he's the first one to come to me. How is that going to create a culture bond between the two of us when I want to give positive feedback or I need help from him? It's going to break that trust barrier. So it's very important to recognize achievements of your employees. And we do that by giving compliments. Great job today. That was amazing way that you handle all the logistics of our promotional shoot from A to Z. You did a great job. Now, as you build up those trust deposits, when you want to give that constructive feedback, in the back of Jan's head, he's going to think, you know what? I know I got some constructive feedback from Anthony. It was tough to hear, but I know that he's looking out for me. Why? Because I have all of these other deposits that he's put into that trust bank where he's complimented my work. So I know it's coming from a place of improvement and not a place of criticism. But when you don't add to that trust bank, you're never going to get that culture where you feel you can give that feedback without having repercussions. So keep in mind of that trust bank when you want to give someone constructive feedback. Have you made any deposits? And then we talk about peer accountability all the time. We can't be everywhere as a leadership team. It's very important that our 225 employees are empowered to give constructive feedback to each other, because at the end of the day, that's the only way that we can grow as an organization and deliver the promises and the experience that our customers expect since 1978. Being in roofing, especially roofing, peer accountability is more important than ever. I come from a law enforcement background, and I had a partner, and I can tell you that trust is the most important thing you can have when you deal with life-threatening environment or situations. And on the roof, you have exactly that. We work on some of the most complex and most dangerous roofing conditions in the world. When you're talking about working, whether it's on a high rise in downtown, Brickell or Miami, and you have wind situations that can have a gust out of nowhere of 35, 50 miles an hour just because of the climate that we live in. If we do not place safety as the most important thing that we do every day, then we put lives at risk. And we can talk about safety. We can talk about things you must do every day on a job. But if we're not there every day, how do we know it's happening? Because of your peer accountability amongst the team. We have 10 men and women that work on a crew on every job, and they're accountable to one another for safety. We have a saying that we're safe 365, and everybody is responsible for safety, not just our safety team, but everyone. And the reason we do that is we say, look, we're a team, we're a family, and we want to go home every day the way that we came to work. 10 fingers, 10 toes, provided that they came to work with 10 fingers, 10 toes. And we want to go back to their families. And the way that we do that is, look, hey, Johnny, I noticed that you weren't tied off for, maybe 30 seconds. I know it was inconvenient, but look, before you do that, you got to, maybe put another anchor point. I'll work with you. Just tap me on the shoulder. Even if we lose a little bit of production, safety first. And that's what this picture is all about. It's about having each other's back on the rooftop. And again, you reinforce that by doing more activities together. You have to let down your hair, so to speak, with your teammates. Let them know, let them see the human side of you, that you actually represent something more than just that, the title that you have at the company. And that's how you're going to have that readily available feedback that ultimately improves or protects what you're doing on a day in, day out basis. And that's what we do here. We host what you see here is a breakfast of champions. It's what we do once a year for our men and women in the field. And it's our way as the leadership team to give back to our folks who are out there doing the hard work in all crazy kinds of inclement weather. And we serve them a breakfast. We give them an annual treat, whether it's like a present, like you see there. We have insulated coolers or best roofing. But it's more than that. We basically all give thanks. And we say, we're specifically thankful for what you do. We recognize the hard work you do. We recognize that we do have a lot of safety and quality checks in place for you to do, whether it's inspection reports, whether it's taking time to do calisthenic stretches on some projects. We understand that we put you through a lot because at the end of the day, we are looking out for you. We want you to go home to your families. And this is just another way that we can recognize and be thankful for that. But we do it on a quarterly basis. We'll get to that in a little bit. But a couple of things that we do specifically at Best Roofing to implement a team culture. Everyone must do what we talked about, clear vision, hope, vision, and clarity. And you do that through having clear, defined team goals and values. And at Best Roofing, every year, the leadership team, we have a retreat. We basically go off campus and we talk about three things. Number one, what worked this year? So at the end of 2025, we all met and we said, what worked in 2025? Number two, what did not work and how can we fix it? Number three, what resources do we need to provide to the organization? Whether it's human capital, additional headcount, whether it's new safety equipment, whether it's new equipment, whatever it may be, what resources do we need to provide to the team, to the business, to better serve our clients? We identify that and then we share it. We publicize it to our team in what we call North Star goals. And we have what's called a Can You Imagine? We all meet as one team. We talk about what we did, very clear transparency, what we did from a financial performance perspective in 2025, all the projects completed, all the clients we served, and what we're looking to do in the year ahead. And this allows everyone to foster open communication. When you establish clear goals and values, when there's any detour from those goals and values, it's much easier to align people to get back on track. And you do that by saying, hey, if we have a goal metric for, say, the sales organization, you have to sell X amount of jobs per quarter. If those jobs fall under budget, we're able to identify it because we communicated what the goals are. Guys, we had, say it's 20 jobs, we're at 15, we're 5 behind. Maybe let's see what's going on. Where can we help and assist? But if you don't have that clear expectation, then when you're trying to give that feedback, like, where is this coming from? Same thing with values. I used to actually, before coming to Best Roofing, I used to work for a law firm and I used to represent teams in the NFL. And one of those teams that I really loved a sign that I saw, it was Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin. And he had a sign behind his desk that said, "The standard is the standard." And you got to ask, like, where did this come from? What does it mean? And it is what it is. That's the standard. If I have a standard where every single player must be in padded practice, they must wear pads, then that's the standard. I can't play favoritism to a star quarterback, to a star receiver, because that's the standard. And we're never going to be a team if I treat one player differently than others. So, and the second you detour from that, others are watching. And they're like, well, what about me? Is my effort not recognized? Because I don't score the touchdowns, I don't get preferential treatment. Doesn't mean I'm not working as hard. And I take that mindset and we try to implement that here. The standard is a standard. If we have a culture where everyone's expected to, work, call it, I don't know, 8 to 5, whatever it may be, but you have maybe one employee that comes in every day at 9 and they leave at 4. They don't say anything. They just kind of come and go. That's your standard. So even though 99% of the employees follow it, if one person kind of does not, and there's no explanation or communication why, then that's your standard. And then you're going to start seeing a deterioration of your policies. So it's very important to think in your head, the standard is a standard, clearly identify it and communicate it. And it builds trust and mutual respect. At the end of the day, everyone craves and desires structure. And what trust and mutual respect is an outcome of structure and what we just talked about. When you have the clear terms and goals and you have open communication, then that's where you can get your trust and respect. And we talked about the trust bank deposit. You got to recognize achievements of your team efforts. It's basically comes back to the old Pavlov theory of you have to incentivize and recognize good behavior. And if you don't, then how are you going to reinforce it? And that's something that we do is we set the tolerance of what behavior we want to tolerate. We identify and basically put out initiatives, communicate what those are. When those activities happen, You must identify it and reinforce it by maybe doing a team recognition, giving out maybe some type of whether it's financial incentive or given a plaque, but something to reinforce that behavior. And then what happens is it gets repeated, and then you come full circle, and it's a circle. And we do that at Best Roofing where we have quarterly huddles. We bring in the field, which is our men and women who perform the installation of roof services and office. And what we do is we identify teammates who have done one of two things. One, they have exemplified our values. So we want to exemplify certain key values. Or two, they have exceeded or met the goals that we have sent out. So what it does is it reinforces throughout the year what number one is: define clear term goals and values. And by having our quarterly meetings with our team and identifying those two things and recognizing it and incentivizing it, it reinforces it. And then implement peer accountability. And we talked about it. We encourage it and we push for it. This really comes down to my job here is I have to know where Best Roofing is going in 5-10 years. And I have to take that picture and I have to instill policies, procedures, and people that can help us get there. And that's a daily effort. It's an hourly effort sometimes, but that's how we make decisions as an organization. It's our code of ethics, is that we're only as strong as the people in our organization. Here's an example about how we, as Best Roofing, demonstrate our clear goals and values. We have something called our story, and a lot of our employees will understand, why do we exist? And we talk about, so we solve roof problems. It's very simple. We all have a mantra, and we go through our values and how we communicate to one another and what success looks like. We reemphasize one of these points in team meetings that we have with our organization. And it's just a way to kind of keep us on track and as one. And as you start repeating these messages and these values and goals, it all of a sudden you start hearing it echoing throughout the company. You hear people saying, "How do we? That's not clear, concise communication for all stakeholders." And you hear that in maybe the kitchen or the cafe that we have downstairs, because that's one of our values. We want to have clear, concise communication for all stakeholders. And what it means is we do not want emails just being forwarded to another teammate saying, "FYI, see below." Well, that's not clear, concise communication. I don't even know what that means. We want to make sure that we respect each other's time and we give them a roadmap to success. And that's part of our values. Another way that we do things at Best Roofing is we have around 36 monitors throughout the building. And on those monitors, we have something called BRTV, or Best Roofing TV. And we publicize projects won, projects completed, birthdays, anniversaries, or any hot topics in the organization. It's a way to keep us all connected. And that shows us what we all do on a day in, day out basis. We may be part of a whole, but when you see it and reemphasize that this is what it's all about, everyone can share in that success. Excuse me, I'm just going to grab a drink of water. So foster and open communication. This is the huddles that we talk about where we recognize safety, quality, production, and our teammates for a job well done. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually like a Wheel of Fortune type wheel that we have. And we allow each and every member of the crew to spin that wheel, and there's a dollar denomination associated with it. And believe it or not, everyone welcomes that and look forward to the opportunity of taking home that top dollar prize. I think it's like $200 that they can win. But really, it's the best part about it is every single member of our team is rooting on that crew for a job well done. And what we do is we publicize it, right? So we talk about peer accountability and we show safety, our top crews based on safety metrics. We go out to every job site and we do what's called a job site analysis. And they are graded on safety and quality standards. And then every quarter, we demonstrate or publish to the team where those crews stacked up against each other. And in these huddles, they can see exactly, we publish it, where they fall from top to bottom. And this is what I can promise you is that team that's on the bottom will not be on the bottom next quarter. They have tremendous pride, not just for themselves, but competitive competition with their fellow crew members that they want to come out on top. And the beauty of it is when that team wins, all of the crew members, there is no jealousy. They recognize the hard work that they do and the standards that we place on them, and they're celebrating and cheering on for their ability to be recognized, but also come home with a nice large cash prize, that's when you know you have a winning culture. And we do it not just we don't just talk about it. We're constantly doing team building activities, retreats, workshops, social events. Everything is about togetherness and teamwork. We always, whenever we can, we get an opportunity, we bring the whole team together, not just the office, not just the field, men and women in the field, but everyone together because we are one team. We all represent Best Roofing. And a large reason we do that is, when I used to work and did work for FIFA, I would go to different organizations and or representations of different countries. And I can tell you that when you go to those games, the players, they may represent, different teams of leagues. Maybe they play in Germany or Italy or Spain or America even. But when they play for their national country, they have tremendous pride. And they always kind of go like this because they represent maybe whatever that flag is on their chest that they play for. And that's how we feel at Best Roofing, is that when we are at Best Roofing, we represent the best roofing shield. And that's that shield of what we stand for, delivering a client experience that's the best in class. And we can't do it alone. We have to do it with one another. So that's why we have these team events to get everyone together, talk shop, talk family, talk whatever, but we're together. And that's how we're able to continue our culture. And you got to do it with celebrating wins. We talked about it. It's not just, hey, here's your here's your salary and here's your end of the year bonus. No, we're always going to be doing specialized spiffs, bonuses here and there, incentive programs. Even we have a huddle that's coming up right now, and one of our salesmen in the service team, he just had a record month in the history of the company. And he's a really big Manchester City fan. He actually doesn't know about this yet, so I hope no one shares it with him. But we actually got him an embossed, and it's in a frame, Manchester City jersey of his favorite player. He doesn't know it's coming. I know it's a big deal to him. He was trying to get tickets to see them play when they came for the Club World Cup last year. But it's little things like that. It may not be tremendous dollars and it may not be a cash, but it just shows that we know what you like outside. We know who you are as a person, and we just want to show recognition for what you're doing and do something special for you. It's so important when you talk about the trust deposits. And these are just examples of when we get together with our huddles with our team. And this is what it's all about. We work in teams to install quality roof systems for our clients. And this is how we go about it. We talk about just some pros and cons of how we go through things here as a company. You got to involve whenever you want to implement change in your culture. Like obviously with Best Roofing, this was not just a turn the page, we're going to change the culture. This has been like an evolution of a steamship kind of thing, like one of those cruise ships. It takes a while to move that big boat around, but when you do, it's full steam ahead. And now we're starting to get some great momentum in terms of what the vision of the future is and just building on that. And when you do that in your own organizations or even in your families, change has resistance. It's natural. It's a natural human response to change because humans are creatures of comfort, and change disrupts comfort. Doesn't mean it doesn't improve it, change the environment, but it is always a defense mechanism. So you have to always explain the why, and you always have to include who you want to change into the decision-making process. Make them feel incorporated or important in that process. And be consistent. The standard is the standard. You can't just have, that one-off with certain employees and bend here and there. You got to be consistent. One of our values is fair, firm, and consistent. Doesn't mean that you're unbreakable because you got to be fair. Every person may have their own story. Maybe Johnny or Sally comes in late because they're maybe a single parent and they have to take care of childcare, school drop off. Well, that you need to be fair to that employee. We understand that family comes first. So maybe we do allow that person to come in, later. That's being fair, but you got to be firm. So if there's other employees who have the same situation, you can't choose favoritism. You got to allow them the same privileges that you extended to Johnny or Sally, and then be consistent with it. Measuring success, you're winning when you start to see these things. We talked about it. When constructive confrontation is happening at the peer level, where you say, hey, Johnny, Sally, you're not tied off appropriately. That's not our safety standard. Well, you got to fix that. Celebrating each other's wins. We talked about it in our huddles where you see your teammates, they're celebrating the successes of their crews, even though that they ranked above them and maybe pushed them behind. Maybe they didn't get accolades or any financial incentive that quarter. They're still celebrating the wins of their teammates because they know about the hard work that it all goes into, and they'll get their time on top of the mountain. It's just they're going to have it incentivizes them going forward. That's when you know your team's winning. Self-development for the team. It's when they take on the additional responsibility to maybe bring someone up, almost like a mentor-mentee role, without having that true mentor-mentee responsibility in their job description. They do it because they want to see the success of their teammates and success of the company. That's when you know you're winning. We win together, we lose together. Can't just jump on your team when you're losing, and you can't just jump on the backs of your team when you're winning. You have to celebrate your wins together, and you have to learn from your losses together. Ignorant now over ignorant for life. We talked about before, you have to communicate the shared vision. We talk about it. My job here, working with the executive leadership team, is we have to establish hope, vision, and clarity for the future and what that means 5, 10 years down the line, not just for the company, but how that employee fits into that vision for growth. And then we have to implement policies, procedures, incentives, and culture initiatives that allow us to get there. And at the end of the day, it's just a little quote here from Andrew Carnegie that teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. And when you're working 30, 50 stories high in the air and no one is there but your teammates, it's all about the culture, and it's all about knowing that your teammates have your back, and that's how you do incredible or uncommon things. And that's it for my presentation here today. I didn't know if anyone had any questions or comments for me, but that's it for me.
A lot of comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic presentation, Anthony. And I love just hearing how you guys are implementing these things like in your organization and throughout your company. Thank you so much. And I've had some really great comments from the audience. Just thank you, great info. He is a great speaker and it flows very well. So I really agree, and we couldn't appreciate it more. So thank you. I know, we don't do too many of these kind of HR, team building, peer-driven organization type presentations. So I just want to make sure you guys know that if you do have questions or you want to follow up with Anthony and his team, they've so kindly put some contact information into the chat, which I will put here again, just reiterate, so that you guys can get in touch. I know a couple of you guys will ask about the slides. As I mentioned, you can reach out to the team directly, and it seems like they're very happy to give you a summary, maybe the slides directly. We also always record these sessions, and you can find them on acebytsk.com. Not only this presentation, but all of the presentations that we've hosted through webinars. So if you guys do want to watch it back, you want to share it with your colleagues, with your teams, please do so. You can always find it on our website. Usually it takes a day or two to be up there. I also did post the evaluation link into the chat. I'll post it again right now. I'll give you guys 1 second to please click on the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Just go ahead and open that chat button. It needs to be open in order for you to see the link. So just going to give you 2 seconds here. And here we go.
Hey, Mara,
Excellent. And there's some contact information.
we do have one
Please.
question we would like to answer. Anthony,
Great.
if you want to go ahead and answer it.
So we have a question, I think it's from, is it Marie Thompson?
Yes.
So any suggestions for non-monetary rewards that you have found successful and something employees appreciate outside of the pizza day? We are a public entity and don't have ability to give bonuses or gifts unless we pay for them out of our pockets. Great question. Here's what I can tell you is that everyone at Best Roofing that they work hard and no one feels that everyone when everyone gets a compliment, say for example, I'll give you an example. Raisa, one of our coordinators on the sales team, she is a new mom and she has worked hours and hours trying to just help the team get things transitioned into a more efficient permitting cycle. So she kind of created a new permit tracker for us that's helped gets permitting cut from 3 months down to 4 weeks. Great process that she implemented. But we didn't have ability to do much other than at the time to say recognize her to her team. So we pulled everyone together and we gave her kudos. And it wasn't something that she was expecting, but we gave her kudos. And you know what it was? When she went on leave, all the employees, typically we would send flowers, but all the employees just did a handwritten card and they just said thank you and maybe some little note of how Raisa was missed at the time during her maternity leave, but also how important she is to the team. And my point is sometimes just recognition for you as a person and that your impact is making a difference, it makes tremendous difference to the morale of that employee when they come back. So even something just as a handwritten note, just announcement and recognition in front of your peers that does go a long way beyond the normal pizza day. I think all that stuff is great, even when we talked about the jersey, but ultimately recognize your team in front of their teammates for the hard work. It goes the longest way.
Amazing. Amazing. I couldn't agree more. Guys, a couple questions about the presentation. Please reach out directly. You have the email right there on the screen, marketing at Best Roofing. Please reach out to the Best Roofing team directly to obtain, request the slides. If they're willing to give them out, that's great. If they want to give you guys a summary, that's great too. So please reach out to them directly. I'm going to post the evaluation link one more time in the chat in just a second. Again, if you haven't had a chance to fill it out or you can't find it, please go ahead and click the chat button at the bottom of your screen so that it's open, so that when I place that link in the chat that it's there and you're able to receive it. All right, you do need to fill out that evaluation to get credits if you're a CAM, so please do so. And if you do have any questions, I'm going to hang out for a little while longer, specifically to answer questions about the evaluation form. All right. I agree, guys. He's a great presenter. Thank you,
Oh,
Anthony. Actually, we had a chance to have you in person at one
yes.
of our events recently, and I was like, we got to get this guy back because he was wonderful, and the whole Best Roofing team is so supportive, and they really do such a great job. So we really appreciate you guys being great partners and giving a great presentation today.
I couldn't agree more. You guys are great partners for us as well. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. If you ever need anything, we're here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. I really encourage you guys to take advantage of the contact information, not only marketing, but let's see, the Best Roofing team, if you scroll up into the chat, gave some direct contacts. So if you do have personal inquiries or, of course, today was all about peer-driven organizations, but they are experts in what they do. And so if you have a project that you're working on, if you have a question, if you guys are having a challenge, I really encourage you to reach out. They're a great, great resource and they're very willing. So that's amazing. We appreciate that. Um, Okay, well, if let's see, there's another question. Is there a CEU for a board member? I don't believe this one is CEU for a board member. There's so few of those courses. I know one of our partners, KBR, does do the board member certifications and CEUs. I think the Falcon Group, another one of our partners, does offer a presentation that is certified for board members. I know you guys are struggling out there to collect those credits. They're so few and they're so new. We are trying all the time to bring new ones to the table. So the next class is for board members. The next ACE class is for board members too. Lisa Bell is mentioning. You guys can always go on to acebytsk.com. I'll put that in the chat to find out what courses are coming up via webinar, in person. If you happen to be here in South Florida, we'd love to see you. Come meet the Best Roofing team, come meet the ACE team, come meet all of our experts in person. There's nothing that beats being in person and shaking hands and feeling the energy, asking the questions. So we are in now 4 locations, which is unbelievable. Fort Lauderdale, which we have tomorrow. If any of you guys are in Fort Lauderdale, please, please come join us. Say hi. We have an amazing presentation on insurance. We're also in Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, and North Palm Beach, or Palm Beach Gardens, I should say. So if you are in person, we'd love, love, love to meet you in person, face to face. Please join us. All that information, like I said, is on acebytsk.com. I'll put that in the chat right now.
And I know we talked about a
Guys.
lot about the culture of Best Roofing, kind of what we stand for. Our doors are always open. If anyone wants to come and see how we do things live and in the flesh, I welcome
Wow.
the opportunity. We'll give you a tour of the facility. We have mock-ups downstairs where we do our training with the field, where our manufacturers come in. You can get a really live and just feel the pulse and the energy of Best Roofing. It's an incredible thing. It's a big part of why I came here to Best Roofing. It's something really special. And when you come here and you walk and you see the teammates working in action, you just get to feel it. So I'm
Wow,
happy
that's
to give the
amazing.
tour if I'm available. We're happy to do so.
That is really cool. I hope you guys take it, some of you take advantage of that. If you're, I know you guys are all around the state of Florida, but if you're, where are you guys based,
We're in
Anthony?
Fort we're in Fort Lauderdale.
Beautiful. Okay, excellent. So I hope you guys take advantage. I mean, I would love to. It sounds amazing. Thank you for offering that. That's so cool.